Guys, this is Mr. Joshy J, and this is your preview to the Formula One 2025 Belgium Grand Prix. Yes, Spa Francorchamps, one of my favourite ever tracks on the F1 calendar. This track is so legendary. Oh, but Spa is too dangerous, this and that. Fuck out of here, man. Seriously. Anyone who thinks Spa is dangerous is absolutely crazy. I mean, just watch back in like the late 90s and that, when you had all that carnage at the start, all them cars crashing. 2005 V10 engines, that is dangerous. Yes, we very sadly lost Anton Hubert at this circuit, and Pierre Gasly every year he pays tribute to his best mate, which is so touching. But Spa, dangerous, nah, I'm not having it, man. Only Drive to Survive fans would think that, to be honest. I mean, let's get it right here. Absolutely ridiculous. Going into this weekend now, it is a sprint weekend this weekend now. You know what my thoughts are on sprints? I think they're absolutely pathetic and artificial. And when I do driver ratings and team ratings, I don't include the sprint. I really don't. I only include normal qualifying and the race. And that's the way I'm always going to be on this channel when I do driver ratings and team ratings. Look, if you want to do ratings of sprint, then fair enough for sprint quality and sprint race. But to me, it's so artificial. It really is. Going into this weekend, I believe McLaren will be favourites. You know, Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri, one of them two will win the Grand Prix, I believe. Now, Red Bull, life after Christian Horner. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with them this weekend. And also, Max Verstappen, rumours are that he's going to make a press conference this weekend. So be interested to see if he says anything at all during his press conference, whether he's staying at Red Bull or leaving Red Bull, or whether he signs for Mercedes. Yuki Tsunoda needs a strong weekend. He is under massive pressure. Let's get it right. His performance recently, nowhere near good enough. Ferrari, mighty Ferrari, now obviously Lewis Hamilton had the decent races. Silverstone couldn't quite get on the podium, unfortunately. But, you know, he goes quite well here at Belgium. And obviously, this track he had contacts with Nico Rosberg in the past. So, yeah, hopefully my driver can have a good weekend. Charles Leclerc had an absolute horrific weekend in Silverstone, so he needs to get back into winning ways. He really does. And also, as an airplane's going through in the background, not sure if you can hear that because I got the windows open. Mercedes, now what sort of pace will they have this weekend? Of course, this time last year they won at this circuit. You know, my driver Lewis Hamilton inherited the win off of 63 because 63 got disqualified because of an underweight car or underfueled car, and that was my driver's last full GP win was Belgium last year. So what a perfect time it'd be if he could win this weekend. Kimi Antonelli really needs to have a strong weekend. You know, things have not been going his own way recently, which is such a shame because the kid has potential. Alpine, now we all know Alpine is the slowest car on the grids, but it wouldn't surprise me if Pierre Gasly does something this weekend. And Colapinto, it sounds like he's still in the car after all, because there was rumours that he was going to get replaced by Valtteri Bottas. But as it stands now, he still remains in the car, Franco Colapinto. So he has to deliver, no excuses. Aston Martin. Now, Fernando Alonso has been quite impressive recently. Daddy Boy Lance Stroll, I'm expecting the usual by him, really, just by an average, unless maybe we get a bit of rain. Because one thing for sure about Lance Stroll, he may be useless in the dry weather and that, but in the wet, changeable conditions, he's actually quite solid. Racing Bulls, obviously, they will have a different team principal this weekend because Lawrence is now with Red Bull. He's taken over Christian Horner. But be interested to see how Racing Bulls, get on without Lawrence. It really will. And Haas, what can they do this weekend? What can my second favourite driver, Ollie Behrman, do? Now, qualifying, he's not always the best, but in the races, he's been quite decent. Ocon, be interesting to see how he gets on this weekend. It really will. And on to Kick Sauber. Now, they will be on an all-time high, honestly, after Nico Rosberg scored. Fuck's sake, that's a huge foul. Nico Hulkenberg got his very first F1 podium. They will be in very high spirits. They really will. And Gabriel Bortoleto, he could do a really strong weekend. And finally, whoa, here at Williams HQ, we must not give up on our season. We have to continue it very good. Yes, big weekend for Williams people. Alex Albon and Carlos Sainz really need a strong weekend. Carlos Sainz has been so disappointing this season. He really has. And I expected more from him because he absolutely landed the minerals at Ferrari last year. And of course, Carlos Sainz has been talking to Jake Humphrey, and Carlos Sainz said he was left in the dark over his Ferrari future, which to me, that's not sustainable from my team. That's unacceptable now to just leave a driver in the dark like that. But let me know your thoughts down below. Are you excited by the weekend? Like I said, I'm not a fan of the sprints. But anyway, join me over the weekends for qualifying reaction, race reaction, and driver ratings and team ratings for the Belgian Grand Prix. Race reaction now, it will be a live race reaction, so if anyone wants to join in and talk about the race, you're more than welcome. And then, like I said, driver ratings and team ratings. Then next Thursday will be a preview to that Hungarian Grand Prix before it goes on a break again, where all the factories shut down for 2 weeks, for their summer holiday. Thank you all so much for watching. And currently recording this on my PC. Now, I have a phone stand to my YouTube phone, so when I'm standing it up next to my keyboard, I would no longer have that worry, the phone falling over, because I got it stood on the stand. Thank you all so much for watching. And if you are an F1 fan, make sure you are subscribing to this YouTube channel. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.